Hi everybody, this is Lara at pureelliottwave.com with an extra video on calculating targets for Bitcoin this week for you. Before I jump into that, I'd like to let you know that I'm going to be launching my book Pure Elliott Wave and my video course Learn Pure Elliott Wave in the next very few weeks, 4 weeks at the absolute most. We still have a few things to get ready before we're ready to launch, but we're almost there. When we launch, for the first 48 hours on launch date, I'm going to offer an extra special discount rate to buy the video course, and you'll get the book as well. If you want to be notified of that special launch, go to the website, click here, give us your email address. I'm only going to use this your email address to notify you of this launch, and when it's launched I will delete the emails because I hate spam. Okay, let's jump into looking at Bitcoin analysis. This is my published Bitcoin analysis, the history of it, over on Elliott Wave Gold, my old website. Let's jump back to 11th of May 2017. Before we go there real quick, I'm looking at trying to calculate this target for this fifth wave, which I now have labelled at primary degree. Back in 2017, I had labelled it at cycle degree. So the first target I calculated for that fifth wave was for it to reach 1.618, the length of the third. That was only at 1987. That target obviously completely blown away as Bitcoin continued way up through that. Next published analysis, 16th of October 2017. I'm using a bigger Fibonacci ratio now. This is still mathematically correctly a Fibonacci ratio. And I'm calculating now for the fifth wave to reach 6.84, the length of the third wave at 7866. And obviously that was also blown away. Jump forward to 13th of November 2017. Now I'm making two calculations for the fifth wave to reach 6.84 times the length of the third at 7866, and also for it to reach equality in length with the third at 8042. So I've got a target zone now. That was obviously blown away. Now we jump forward to 23rd of December 2017, and it was at this date, 6 days after we hit the high, that my main Elliott wave analysis expected that the high was most likely in place. I had a few things to look out for. Breach of this trend line was one of them, to add confidence, but this was the main wave count at that date. And the final high was just under 20,000, so it blew away all of my target calculations. And so this is what I'm going to do this time. So calculating targets for this high up here proved to be very, very difficult, and Bitcoin blew away all of my target calculations. In the end, I actually gave up on calculating targets, and I had a series of technical indicators I was looking for to identify a high in place, and I managed to do that 6 days after that formed on the 23rd of December. That was that last analysis I just showed you. I'm probably going to take the same approach for cycle wave 3, but I don't want to completely give up on calculating targets. So I'm going to have a go again, and I'm going to be very, very open and flexible to revising and adjusting these targets, but I'm going to rely more on looking at classic and technical indicators to identify the end of what I'm now labelling cycle 3. So the first thing to note on this chart is this is the previous high we were looking for, and I was trying to calculate targets for. I had it labelled cycle 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and now I've moved that all down 1 degree, and I'm seeing this whole movement, this 5-wave impulse, is cycle 1, here's cycle 2. Now I'm looking for targets for cycle 3. The first target I have here is if cycle 3 only reaches 11.09 times the length of cycle 1, that gives us a target at 223535 for cycle 3. I think that's probably too conservative, because in Bitcoin's price history from this low to this high, and also now in here and in here, and these impulses up, its third waves tend to be quite a lot longer than that. This is a pretty big Fibonacci ratio, but it is mathematically a Fibonacci ratio. So this is an entirely valid target, but given the price history, it's probably too conservative. This next target, this is not a Fibonacci ratio. Cycle 3 would reach 38.87 times the length of cycle 1 at 775.540. That number, 38.87, comes from here. The length of primary wave 1 and primary wave 3 here. Primary 3 is 38.87 times the length of primary wave 1. This middle target here assumes or looks at the possibility that cycle 3 could exhibit the same ratio or length to cycle 1 as primary 3 did to primary 1 within cycle 1. So if this follows on that same length, then that's the target, 775,540. Now I'm going to look at an even more extreme Fibonacci ratio. 46.979 is technically, well, mathematically a Fibonacci ratio. It's an extremely big one, but Bitcoin does tend to exhibit extreme wavelengths to each other. So if cycle 3 were 46.979 times the length of cycle 1, that gives us a target for cycle 3 at 936,671. So that's my target calculation for now for Bitcoin. As cycle 3 unfolds, when I have primary 3 and 4 within it complete, I'll be adding to target calculations at primary degrees, and then I can have 2 degrees to calculate targets, and I'll be trying to narrow it down to a zone. But again, I'm going to be looking for the same technical indicators that I did at the end of cycle 1 for cycle 3 in order to identify an eventual high in place. That's all for me for now, with just looking real quick at some ideas on how to calculate targets for Bitcoin for this big third wave up. And I'll see you in a few more days. I have just moved from one country to another in the last week, so I have not been able to post as much on my YouTube channel as I would like, but things are settling down now. I have a really good fibre optic internet connection, and so I definitely hope to be posting on the YouTube channel more often. So thank you so much to all my YouTube subscribers for your patience. Have a good day.